Princess Liara of Zelthara walked slowly through the marble corridors of her palace, her heart heavy. The walls were tall, polished, and shining, reflecting the colors of the city outside, but they felt like a cage. Every step echoed with expectation. Every corner whispered rules she had never wanted. She had been born into royalty, trained to rule and prepared to follow orders. Yet deep inside she longed for something more, something real. Liara had seen the universe many times from her observation deck. She had watched distant planets glow in the night sky and studied humans from afar. They were strange, chaotic, fragile, yet somehow fascinating. No one in her court thought humans were worth her attention. Aliens had always considered them primitive, weak, and unimportant. But Liara had always felt a strange curiosity about them, a pull she couldn't explain. Then one day her life changed forever. A diplomatic mission took her to Earth, a small blue planet filled with oceans, forests, and bustling cities. She was cautious as she moved through the crowded streets, hiding her alien form in a careful human disguise. That's when she saw him. Kale wasn't like anyone she had met before. He wasn't tall or flashy or pretending to be impressive. He was ordinary, simple clothing, messy hair, and a warm, genuine smile. Yet something about him made her heart skip a beat. He looked at her with curiosity, not fear. His eyes were wide, honest, filled with wonder at the world. He noticed her, not as a princess, not as an alien, but as a person. Liara hesitated but found herself walking toward him. "Hello," she said softly, almost unsure. Kale smiled. "Hi, I haven't seen you around before." "Are you new to the city?" "Yes, I could say that," Liara replied, her voice trembling slightly. There was something calming about him, a light that made her chest feel warm for the first time in years. Days passed and their encounters became frequent. Kyle showed her parks she had never visited, coffee shops where the smell of pastries made her laugh, and streets alive with music and chatter. He asked questions, many, endless questions, but not to judge. He asked because he truly wanted to understand her world, her thoughts, her heart. Liara felt herself opening in ways she had never done with anyone before. She laughed more freely. She forgot for a little while that she was a princess. She was just Liara, the girl who wanted to feel alive. And Kale loved her for exactly that. He didn't care about her title, her powers, or her alien form. He cared about her heart, her smile, and her mind. One evening, under the soft glow of Earth's moonlight, Liara and Kale sat by a quiet river. Water shimmered like liquid silver, reflecting the stars above. Kale turned to her, eyes gentle. "You're different from anyone I've ever met," he said quietly. Liara's heart raced. "Different how?" "Different. Special," he said. "You see the world not just for what it is, but for what it could be. You make me want to be better, to see more, to live more. That is rare." Liara's eyes filled with tears. She had spent her life following rules and traditions, but in this moment she felt free. She leaned on Kale's shoulder and he held her gently. No one else existed in that moment. No expectations, no judgments, no pressures of royalty or duty. That night, as they watched the stars together, Liara knew something profound. Her heart had chosen without thinking of politics or alliances or danger. It had chosen him, a human from a small planet who showed her the beauty of life in its simplest form. She didn't know what the future would bring. She didn't know if her people or even her mother would approve. But she felt something stronger than fear: hope, courage, and love. Kyle, with his simple kindness, had unlocked a part of her heart she thought was lost forever. And so, in the quiet glow of a human city, an alien princess and a human man began a story that would challenge galaxies, defy expectations, and show that love, pure, brave, and true, could change everything. The news of Liara's choice traveled faster than she had imagined. By the time she returned to Zelthara, whispers had filled the palace halls. Courtiers, advisors, and even distant diplomats had heard. The princess had fallen in love with a human. A human. Many of them laughed quietly, some shook their heads, and a few looked concerned. But the one who reacted most strongly was Queen Zyrith herself. The queen sat upon her throne, tall and imposing, her presence commanding every eye in the hall. When Liara entered hand in hand with Kale, Zyrith's icy gaze froze them both. "Princess Liara," the queen said, her voice echoing like thunder. "Explain yourself. Why would you choose a human?" Liara's heart beat fast, but she held Kale's hand tighter. "Mother," she said calmly. Kale is brave, kind, and pure of heart. He loves me and I love him. That is all that should matter. The queen's eyes narrowed. All that should matter? Liara, do you understand the consequences of such a choice? Humans are fragile. They cannot endure the political, the social, or the cosmic challenges of our world. You are a princess of Zelthara. Your marriage is not just about love. It is about alliances, strategy, and the safety of our people. Liara swallowed hard. She had expected resistance, but the weight of her mother's anger was heavier than she imagined. Mother, I understand my duties, but love is not a weakness. It is a strength. Kale gives me hope, courage, and joy, and I want to share my life with him. Queen Zyrith stood, her towering figure casting a shadow over them. Hope and joy? Do you think the universe cares about hope and joy when war comes knocking at our doors? When rivals seek to destroy us? Humans may be strong in spirit, but they are weak in body, weak in survival, weak in everything. If you marry him, you bring not only shame but danger to this house. Kale bowed deeply, showing respect. Your Majesty, I do not seek power, riches, or status. I only wish to stand beside Liara and protect her. I will not fail her. Zyrith's eyes flickered. There was something in his voice, something calm yet firm, that unsettled her. He wasn't boastful. He didn't threaten. Yet the certainty in his words made her pause. For centuries she had met countless beings, rulers, and warriors. Few had the courage to face her directly. Fewer still had the calm strength to stand without fear. Liara's voice broke slightly. Mother, please, don't let tradition blind you. Humans may seem ordinary, but Kale has shown me things I never imagined. He is brave in ways that matter, and strong in ways that cannot be measured by your standards. I love him. The queen's expression hardened, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. Love. Love alone will not protect you, Liara. You will face scorn, danger, and ridicule. Kale may not survive it. And if he does not, will you forgive yourself? Liara's hand trembled, but she looked up, her gaze unwavering. I will face whatever comes with him, because love is worth the risk, because he makes me whole, because I trust him with my life, and he trusts me with his. Kyle stepped closer, his hand brushing the queen's for a moment, a gesture of respect, not defiance. Your Majesty, I will not ask for acceptance. I only ask for the chance to prove myself. Not with words, not with titles, but with actions. I will protect Liara, I will honor her, I will never falter. Zyrith's lips pressed into a thin line. She felt a storm inside her, a mixture of anger, disbelief, and something unfamiliar. Awe. She had met rulers who wielded armies, generals who conquered planets, scholars who bent energy to their will. Yet this human, fragile by appearance, carried a force that made her pause. The hall grew quiet. Courtiers whispered, some fearful, some curious. Zyrith's mind raced, thinking of every danger, every prophecy, every rule she had ever known. And yet, deep inside, she couldn't ignore the truth. The human before her held something different, something powerful in a way she had never expected. But the queen was not yet ready to accept it. Very well, she said coldly. We shall see if your heart, Kale, can survive the trials of our world. If it fails, I will hold Liara accountable. And you will have tested the limits of your courage. Liara felt her chest tighten, but she didn't let go of Kale's hand. This was only the beginning. She knew the universe would try to pull them apart. But she also knew one truth. Love like theirs was worth fighting for, no matter the odds. The day of the wedding arrived with a sky painted in gold and pink, as if the universe itself celebrated the union of the alien princess and the human man. The city of Zelthara was alive with color, music, and laughter. Towers glimmered with light. Bridges shone like silver ribbons, and crowds of aliens from countless worlds gathered to witness a marriage that was spoken about in whispers and rumors for months. Liara stood in her gown, shimmering like starlight, her hands slightly trembling. Her heart pounded, not from fear but from anticipation. She looked at Kale, whose human form seemed so ordinary among the alien splendor. Yet to her he was extraordinary. His eyes met hers, warm and steady, a silent promise flowing between them. She squeezed his hand and felt the surge of courage within her. The ceremony began. The officiants spoke in words that echoed through the vast hall, words of unity, trust, and eternal partnership. Liara listened, but her eyes never left Kyle. She saw the slight nervous twitch of his fingers, the way his smile never wavered, and she knew he felt the weight of this moment as much as she did. When Kale slipped the simple human ring onto her finger, it felt like a beacon of hope against centuries of expectation. For a moment, the entire world seemed perfect. The music, the colors, the soft hum of energy surrounding the palace. It all felt like magic. Liara whispered, "I love you." And Kale's answer was a smile that made her feel safe, seen, and alive. But perfection is fragile. A sudden tremor shook the city. At first it was subtle, almost like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Then alarms blared, red lights flashing across the towers. Outside, the sky shields flickered as ships appeared on the horizon. Hostile vessels, machines of destruction from a distant star system, were hurtling toward Zelthara. Their beams pierced the sky, their engines roaring like thunder. The crowd panicked, citizens screamed, and guards rushed to defend the city. Liara froze, her hand gripping Kale's tightly. "Kale, what do we do?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Kale's eyes narrowed, his usual warmth replaced by a calm, focused determination. "Stay close to me," he said softly, almost more to himself than to her. The attackers unleashed their first volley, and the city's shield shimmered, absorbing the impact. But there were too many ships, too advanced, too relentless. Soldiers shouted orders, but chaos spread like wildfire. Liara's stomach knotted with fear, and she realized how fragile life was, even among the most powerful aliens. Then Kale stepped forward. The crowd parted instinctively, sensing something extraordinary. He raised his hands, and a golden light began to radiate from him. It wasn't a weapon or technology. It was raw, pulsating energy. Shields of protection formed around the citizens, invisible yet unbreakable. The attackers' beams halted midair, their ships trembling as if the universe itself had stopped them. Queen Zyrith's eyes widened. She had faced conquerors, tyrants, and interstellar warlords. But this was different. A human, standing in the middle of her palace grounds, radiating power that even she could not fully comprehend. Liara ran to Kale, tears streaming down her face. "Kale, you're incredible." Kale knelt, lifting her gently into his arms. "You're safe," he said. "That's all that matters." The invaders, frozen in place, had no choice but to retreat. Within moments, the skies cleared. The shields shimmered one last time, and silence fell over the city. The crowd erupted into cheers, not just for the victory, but for the miracle they had witnessed. A human, an ordinary human by every measure, had saved them all. Liara clung to him, her heart overflowing. For the first time, she realized that Kale's love was not just gentle, it was powerful, protective, and unwavering. And for the first time, she saw that courage and heroism did not belong to aliens alone. Even Queen Zyrith, standing in stunned silence, could not look away. This human had changed everything. And as Liara rested her head against Kale's chest, she knew that whatever the galaxy threw at them next, together, they could face it all. After the chaos of the attack, the city of Zelthara was quiet again. Citizens whispered in awe about the human who had protected them all. Rumors spread quickly, some calling Kale a hero, others saying he was a being of pure energy. But in the palace, the tension was far from over. Queen Zyrith could not shake the feeling that something extraordinary had occurred. She summoned Kale to her private chambers. The room was grand, lined with crystals that reflected light like stars. Kale entered cautiously, bowing slightly in respect. Liara followed, holding his hand, her heart pounding. She knew her mother's questions would not be easy, but Kale had already proven his courage. "Human," the queen began, her voice steady but laced with curiosity and unease. "You have done what none of my finest warriors could." How did you command such power?" Kyle looked into her eyes, calm and sincere. "Your Majesty, it is not power in the way your people understand it. It is something I carry within me, something humans have had for centuries. Strength, courage, and the will to protect those we love." "That is my power." Zyrith's gaze sharpened. She had studied countless species, trained in every technique of energy and combat, yet she felt a tremor of disbelief. The energy he had displayed was not learned. It was instinctive, pure, and precise. Every movement, every shield, every controlled strike of light had saved thousands of lives. It was not brute force, it was mastery born from something deep inside. Liara's eyes filled with tears as she stepped closer. "Mother," she said softly, "Kale saved our people because he loves me. That is his strength. That is why I chose him. Humans may seem small, fragile, but their hearts are vast, and their courage limitless." The Queen remained silent, studying him. She remembered the reports of the attack. The invaders' ships, frozen mid-flight, their weapons useless against the invisible shield. She thought of the soldiers, trained and armed, who had been unable to stop the threat. And yet Kyle, an ordinary human by every measure, had done it effortlessly. Kale continued, his voice calm, yet firm. "I do not seek glory. I do not seek conquest. My only goal is to protect those I care for. Humans survive, adapt, and face challenges with heart, not just strength. That is why I could stop them." Xyrith's lips parted slightly. She had faced rulers of empires, generals who had conquered planets, and beings who wielded unimaginable energy. But Kale's power was different. It was not born from weapons, titles, or fear. It was born from love, courage, and selflessness. And in that, he surpassed them all. The Queen felt an unfamiliar stir inside her. Pride, fear, respect. It was difficult to name. She had ruled for centuries, believed she understood strength in all its forms. And yet, here was a human, standing humbly before her, demonstrating a force she could not measure, could not control, and could barely comprehend. Liara squeezed Kale's hand. "See, Mother? He is human, yes, but he is extraordinary. His heart makes him stronger than any weapon, wiser than any general, braver than any warrior." Xyrith looked at Kale long and hard. Slowly, the anger that had filled her earlier softened, replaced by something she had not expected, curiosity and even a spark of admiration. "Very well," she said finally, her voice quieter than before. "You have survived this trial, human, and you have shown strength beyond what I imagined. But the galaxy is vast, and challenges are many. Can you endure what lies ahead?" Kyle met her gaze, steady and unwavering. "I will endure, not alone but with Liara by my side, and together we will face anything the universe throws at us." For the first time, Queen Xyrith did not argue. She did not question. She simply observed, realizing that the power of a human, simple, ordinary, and yet extraordinary in its own way, was something that could not be measured by science, tradition, or even centuries of rule. And in that quiet moment she knew that Kale had changed the course of her daughter's life, her kingdom, and perhaps even the universe itself. The palace of Zelthara was quieter than usual in the days following the attack. Whispers of Kale's bravery spread through every hall, every chamber, and even into distant worlds. Citizens marveled at the human who had saved them, and many began to question what they thought they knew about humans. But for Queen Xyrith, the feelings were more complicated. She sat in her private chambers, her eyes fixed on Kale as he knelt respectfully before her. The human who had seemed so ordinary now carried the weight of the galaxy's astonishment. His calm demeanor, his unwavering courage, and his quiet confidence were unlike anything she had seen. The Queen could not deny it. He had done the impossible. "You have changed everything, human," Xyrith said slowly, her voice a mixture of awe and disbelief. "No being I have ever known could have done what you did. My warriors, my generals, even my advisors, none of them could protect Zelthara like you did. Tell me, how is this possible?" Kyle met her gaze steadily. "Your Majesty, it is not magic or technology. It is something deeper. Humans survive because we care. We protect what we love, no matter the danger. Our strength comes from our hearts, not our weapons. That is why I could act when others could not." Xyrith's jaw tightened, and she looked away for a moment as though trying to comprehend his words. She had ruled for centuries, studied countless species, and mastered the laws of energy and combat. And yet a human had done something beyond her understanding. not with force but with courage and love. Liara stepped forward, her voice trembling with emotion. Mother, Kale saved everyone because he cared about all of us. He didn't think of glory or power. He only thought of protecting life. That is what makes him strong, stronger than anyone I've ever known. The Queen's gaze softened slightly, but her mind was still cautious. Strength alone is not enough, Liara. The universe is cruel. Danger comes not once, but constantly. Kale may have survived one trial, but can he endure the challenges ahead? Can a human truly bear the weight of our world? Kale rose slowly, his eyes never leaving Xyrith's. I do not claim to be invincible. I am human, yes, fragile in body, but I will endure. I will face every danger not for myself, but for Liara, for your people, and for those who cannot protect themselves. That is my choice. And with her by my side, I am stronger than anything the universe can throw at me. The Queen felt a strange emotion stir within her, something she had not expected. It was awe, yes, but also fear. Not of Kale, but of the realization that humans, creatures she had always thought fragile and insignificant, carried a strength beyond her understanding. Their courage, their love, their will to endure, these were forces more powerful than any weapon, more unpredictable than any army. The council gathered soon after, demanding explanations. Scholars debated, generals whispered, and diplomats questioned whether Zelthara could trust its fate to a human. Kyle answered calmly, never boasting, never faltering. He explained his actions simply. He protected life. That was all. And yet his words carried weight. They could not be ignored even by the most skeptical aliens. Xyrith watched quietly, her earlier anger replaced by a mix of admiration and humility. She realized something profound. Power was not measured by titles, armies, or energy manipulation alone. True power, she saw now, lay in courage, in love, and in the willingness to face impossible odds for those who mattered most. Liara held Kale's hand tightly, feeling a surge of pride and gratitude. He had faced the unknown, not as a ruler or a warrior, but as a human, with heart, with determination, with unwavering courage. And in doing so, he had shown the galaxy what humanity was capable of. The Queen finally spoke, her voice soft but resolute. Human, you have survived this trial and shown a strength I did not expect. The galaxy will remember what you have done here. But remember this, challenges are endless. You will need to prove your courage again and again. Kale bowed his head. I will. And I will endure for Liara, for your people, and for what is right. And in that moment, Xyrith understood something she had never realized before. The universe underestimated humans. But those who underestimated them would soon learn that even the smallest, simplest beings could change the course of worlds. Weeks turned into months, and the story of Kyle's bravery spread far beyond the walls of Zelthara. Aliens from distant worlds who had once looked down on humans began to speak of them with a mixture of awe and curiosity. The ordinary man who had stood beside Princess Liara and defended the kingdom against impossible odds became a symbol of hope, courage, and inspiration. Life in the palace began to change too. Liara and Kyle walked openly among the people hand in hand. The citizens, initially skeptical, greeted them with cheers and admiration. Children ran to Kale, fascinated by the human who had saved their city. He smiled warmly, lifting the smaller ones into his arms, making them laugh. There was no arrogance in him, just kindness, bravery, and a gentle strength that drew everyone near. Queen Xyrith watched quietly from her balcony. She saw soldiers bow respectfully to Kale, scholars whisper in hushed tones about his courage, and citizens smile with hope. She felt a mixture of emotions, pride, disbelief, and finally understanding. She realized that the strength of a human was not in weapons, armies, or technology, but in the heart that dared to protect, to care, and to act even when danger seemed impossible. Liara squeezed Kale's hand as they walked through the grand halls. Mother has never seen a human like you before, she said softly, a smile tugging at her lips. Kyle chuckled quietly. I'm just doing what anyone would do for someone they love. Liara shook her head. No, not everyone can inspire a kingdom with a simple act of love and courage. You've changed everything. The Queen called Kale to her chambers one evening. She no longer looked at him with suspicion or fear. Instead, she studied him as a strategist might study a brilliant general or a scholar might study an ancient secret. "Kale," she said, her voice steady, "you have shown me something I never believed possible. Humans and your kind have a strength I cannot measure. Your heart, your courage, and your loyalty are unmatched." Kale bowed his head. "Thank you, Your Majesty, but it is not strength for power or glory. It is strength to protect, to love, and to stand by those who matter. That is all humans need to make a difference." Over time, Kyle's influence began to change not just the palace but the kingdom itself. Alien soldiers trained differently, learning to value courage over brute force. Citizens started working together across species, inspired by the human who had shown them the power of unity. Trade and communication with distant planets improved, as leaders recognized that even the simplest beings could possess extraordinary wisdom and bravery. Liara watched all this with tears in her eyes. She had chosen Kale for love, but now she saw that his courage and kindness had changed the galaxy itself. He had taken a simple human heart and turned it into a force that inspired everyone around him. One evening, as the twin moons of Zelthara rose high in the sky, Liara and Kyle walked along the palace gardens. The air was filled with the fragrance of alien flowers, and the soft hum of the city below reminded them of the lives they had touched. "You've done more than I ever imagined," Liara whispered, resting her head on his shoulder. Kale smiled, his gaze on the horizon. "We've done it together. Love gives us courage, and courage inspires change. That's the real power of humans, of anyone willing to act with heart." Queen Zereth watched them silently from afar. She had ruled for centuries, yet she realized now that her greatest lesson had come from a human. Love, bravery, and heart could transform a kingdom, a people, even a galaxy. And in that quiet moment, Zelthara was no longer just an alien kingdom. It was a place where humans had shown that courage and kindness could shine brighter than the stars, and that one person with the right heart could inspire the universe itself. Years passed, yet the story of Kale and Liara remained alive in the hearts of everyone in Zelthara. The kingdom, once ruled by fear and rigid tradition, had transformed into a place of hope, courage, and unity. Aliens and humans alike looked to the couple as living proof that strength was not measured by power, size, or species, but by heart, love, and courage. Kale and Liara had faced countless challenges since their wedding. Trade disputes, interstellar threats, and political intrigues tested their patience, wisdom, and bravery. But through every trial, Kale's human heart shone brighter than the stars. He never sought dominance, only protection. He never sought praise, only the chance to act rightly. And Liara stood by him, her own courage and insight complementing his humanity. Together, they became more than rulers. They became a symbol of hope for the galaxy. Queen Zereth, now older and softer in her ways, often observed them quietly. She had spent centuries believing that power was control, that authority came from fear and strategy. But Kale had shown her another truth. The strongest power in the universe came from the heart. Even she, the formidable queen of Zelthara, could not deny the beauty of what he had created. Peace, courage, and love intertwined. One evening, under the twin moons, Liara and Kale walked through the palace gardens. The gentle glow of the moons reflected in the water of the fountains, and the flowers seemed to bloom brighter than ever, as if celebrating the harmony of their world. Liara squeezed Kale's hand, her eyes shining with emotion. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" she asked softly. Kale smiled, looking out at the horizon. "Every day, I think about how simple actions, courage, and love can change everything. I'm just a human, Liara, but humans, we carry hope, and hope can move worlds." Liara leaned into him. "You've moved more than worlds. You've moved hearts. Even the queen, she respects you now because she has seen what I always knew. That strength comes in many forms, and sometimes the smallest, simplest hearts can be the strongest of all." Kale chuckled softly, wrapping his arm around her. "I only did what I had to do. You taught me that love is worth every risk, every challenge. You taught me courage." News of their deeds continued to travel across the stars. Humans who were once underestimated became symbols of resilience and hope. Leaders of other worlds began to look differently at Earth and its people. They realized that bravery and wisdom were not limited to advanced technology or alien evolution. They could be found in the simplest, most ordinary humans waiting for the right moment to shine. In Zelthara, children played in streets once filled with fear. They told stories of the human who had saved a kingdom and married a princess. They learned that courage was not born from strength alone, but from heart, from love, and from the willingness to stand up even when everything seemed impossible. One day, Queen Zyrith approached Kale. She no longer carried anger or doubt, only respect. "You are right," she said quietly, her eyes reflecting pride and wonder. "You are worthy not because of your power, but because of your heart. You have changed my kingdom, my people, and even me." Kale bowed respectfully. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I only tried to do what was right." Liara smiled, her heart full. She had chosen a human when everyone doubted, and together they had rewritten the story of their world. Kale's courage had inspired a galaxy, showing that humanity, simple, ordinary humans, could rise to challenges even the greatest powers feared. As the twin moons shone above, Kale and Liara stood side by side, looking out over a kingdom transformed. The stars seemed to sparkle a little brighter that night, as if applauding the human who had dared to love, to fight, and to protect. In that moment, it was clear to all who watched. Greatness was not defined by birth, by species, or by power. Greatness was defined by courage, by heart, and by the willingness to act when it mattered most. And Kale, a human with a heart full of love, had proven that even the smallest being could change the universe.